having balanced meals. So again, it comes back to balance. So it's having a good, healthy breakfast. It's having a good, healthy lunch, and then eating maybe a little bit less in the evenings. Because if we go to bed on a heavy stomach, the chances are that we're going to contain more toxins, and we're also going to put on weight. So eating healthily is very good. And I was doing some work with the World Health Organization, and they were analysing the amount of sugar that we have, refined sugar that we have in our diets. And at the turn of the century, last century, the average American would have about 5 pounds of sugar a year, 5 pounds of refined sugar. Now, the average American eats 120 pounds of refined sugar. So much so that the World Health Organization said what we need to do is have about 10% of our diet needs to be refined sugar. And that is about 8 to 10 teaspoons of sugar. In one can of Coke alone, that's about 8 to 10 teaspoons of sugar. So you can see that really it's quite a minimal amount, but we're eating 3 to 4 to 5 times as much as we should do. The other one is about drinking water, and there's a really good book. It's by a guy called Dr. Batmanjar, and it's called Your Body's Many Cries for Water. And he discovered something when he was working in the prisons in Tehran, and it's called UCD. And this is known as unintentional chronic dehydration. And his belief is that 80% of us at any one time are dehydrated. So if you're getting headaches, or if you're feeling tired, or if you're feeling a bit stressed, or if you're feeling hungry, the chances are you're actually dehydrated. So the next time you get stressed, or the next time you feel hungry, drink a glass of water and just see how you feel. 2 litres of water a day is the recommended amount. And I can honestly say, if there's one thing that you walk out of here today with, and you say, right, I'm going to change one thing, drink more water. It will make you feel fantastic. It gives you superb energy, and it's good for just about every single part of your body. In terms of exercising regularly, well, again, the World Health Organization looked at the little amount of exercise that we do, and said that we need to be walking around about 10,000 steps a day. Does anybody wear a pedometer here? No? It's a great, I've got my pedometer on here, I won't show it you, it's tucked underneath here. But wearing a pedometer and doing 10,000 steps a day is a fantastic way to have a healthy heart, and if you can do that every single day, that's the required amount of exercise that you need to do. Good thing about wearing a little pedometer, because the brain is a goal-seeking mechanism, we like to have a goal to aim for, then it's a really good way to motivate you to get moving. So wearing a pedometer is highly recommended, and getting outside as well. It isn't a case of going off and joining a gym, yeah, if that's what you like to do, but getting outside and getting plenty of vitamin D, because that's what the sunshine will give you. So if anybody gets a bit down in the winter time, you need to get outside more. Minimising toxins. Some of you may have heard of something called aspartame. It tends to be, it's a sweetener that's used in things like Diet Coke and various different diet drinks. Aspartame was actually discovered as a cure for stomach ulcers by a Dutch doctor. And it's now been identified as causing all sorts of things like depression, various different mental illnesses, cancers, all sorts of things. So artificial sweeteners, absolutely not recommended. And collecting all the toxins that we do. So, thinking about the amount that we drink. Caffeine. Does anybody drink more than 2 cups of coffee a day? And you're 1 in 4 people in this country who's caffeine addict. And I completely relate to it, because I used to drink tons of coffee. But actually, we think that it gives us great energy. What too much caffeine in the system does is it actually triggers cortisol. And cortisol is a chemical that's actually kicked off when we get stressed. So if you're drinking more than 2 cups of coffee a day, the chances are you're actually stressing your body out. 2 cups or less is the recommended amount. And also, 1 in 13 people in this country have a drink problem. So alcohol now, binge drinking, real big issues with that. So the recommended amount is 2 units for women, 2 small units for women, and 3 for men. Not all at once in one weekend, by the way. That's just every single day. So minimising toxins. Also stress. So really taking a look at what stress does to your body, because what happens when you get stressed, essentially, is 2 hormones are kicked off in your body. One is called cortisol, the other one is adrenaline. And what they do is they run around like a little relay, like a marathon in your body. So your body gets all very strong because going back to our ancestors, we used to do something called fight or flee. We used to feel that we were under danger, so we would fight or we would run away. Now, obviously, that's not so much the situation now, but if we get stressed, we need to get rid of those toxins in our body. So looking at different ways in which we can reduce our stress is really, really important. So all of those things together, you know, if you can challenge all of those things by eating more healthily, drinking lots of water, exercising for 30 minutes a day, minimizing the toxins that you've got in your body and making sure that you manage and you reduce your stress, then altogether you're going to be a lot healthier. And the recommendation is that if you can get the balance right about 80% of the time, then yeah, okay, if you have some treats or you go a little bit over the top 20% of the time, then that's not going to be such a problem. The issue that we have in modern society, it's the other way round. People do the token 20% good stuff, and 80% of the time they've got really bad healthy habits. So it's absolutely about turning those around. Also, this is a great, I tried this one a couple of years ago, it makes a big difference. We do it, don't we? We lie in bed in the morning and the alarm goes off and we press the snooze button and we think, oh, another 15 minutes, and we might even do it again. What we're actually doing is really bad for our brain, because as I mentioned before, the brain is a goal-seeking mechanism. Yeah, we operate really effectively if we're thinking forward. If you press the snooze button, what you're doing is you're putting your brain into a regressive state. So what will happen each time you do that, you will become more sluggish. So when you do finally get out of bed, and probably in, you know, quite an energized way because you're going to be late for work and you've got to rush around, you are actually doing something that's quite bad for your mind, and you're not going to have as an effective or an as alert day. So in terms of brain energy and ability, if you can press the snooze and get out of bed and get going, you'll find you'll have a much better quality day. And that's habits. Yeah, once you start to do it and you get into the groove of that, it becomes easier and easier, I absolutely promise you. So refusing the snooze is a really good tip for energy. And some of those tips that I've shared for you, there might be something that kind of like resonates. So it might be that you think, yep, I need to drink a bit more water. It might be that you need to exercise. It might be that you want to refuse the snooze. And I thought it would be quite good if you just sit with a person next to you and just have a couple of minutes to share something that you think you might take away from that. It's the little things in life that can make a big difference. I've been working a lot on projects around kind of workplace wellness, energy in the workplace, work-home balance, all of these things. And I think sometimes people think it's the big things that are going to make a big difference. You know, we've got to join the gym, we've got to completely revolutionise our diet, we've got to make some really dramatic changes. My findings and my personal experiences, it's the little things that make a difference. And actually, if you're looking at changing habits, it's about committing to do one thing at a time. You know, if you try to revolutionise everything all at once, the chances are it will be too overwhelming for you. But if you can walk out the door today and kind of treat those, if you like, as the magic doors and say, do you know what, there's one thing that's really resonated for me. Perhaps it is to drink more water. Perhaps it is to buy a pedometer. Perhaps it is to think a little bit more positively. And by taking on board one of those habits and saying, OK, I'm going to implement that habit, and I'm going to try to do that on a daily basis. I'm going to build it into the fabric of my life. Once you've made one healthy choice and you've succeeded, you will find that that is the gateway to many more. And that's how some of the biggest success stories actually start. Because I think it was Confucius that said the journey of 1,000,000 steps starts with the very first one. So really it is about taking those small steps, and by critical mass, if everybody takes on board one thing, then you're going to have a lot of positive success. And I'd like to finish off by giving you a present, and I hope this is something that will really work for you. This is vitamin G. Now, those of you who know a bit about nutrition are probably sitting there thinking, there isn't a vitamin G. Well, there is now. Vitamin G is known as vitamin gratitude, because what vitamin gratitude is about reminding ourselves every single day about the things that we're grateful for. I mentioned to you before about us living in a dissatisfied state. You know, very often we will compare ourselves to other people, which is highly dangerous because there will always be people who are better off than you and people who are worse off than you. So what's going to happen is that will promote an emotion of either vanity or bitterness. So really concentrating on who you are and the best that you can be and your true potential is really important. And there's a fantastic technique that's used in psychology. It's called anchoring. And what anchoring is, it's taking an object, could be any object, and actually taking that object and focusing on it on a regular basis to remind yourself, to attach yourself to a thought process. Because as I mentioned right from the start, everything you do and everything that happens to you starts with a thought. So this recommendation is to take your vitamin G every single day. It's an attitude stone. And what it is by having an attitude of gratitude, you can promote a lot more positive thinking. So what you'll do is every morning or perhaps every single evening is you'll take your gratitude stone and you'll think about all the things that you're really, really grateful for. So all the things that you feel very, very positive about. And every single day, you'll keep reminding yourself about that. The benefits of this is it will put you in a positive state. It will also work a part of your brain that focuses on positivity. So it will help you to be able to think more positively about other things. And I was doing this presentation a while ago for a group of sales directors. And one of the guys was sort of sitting quite close to me, and I heard him say, "What a load of," and it began with a B, it ended in an S, and I won't say it here, and I thought, oh, okay, he's not really into that then, is he? And I said, well, you know, it's up to you, because I'm going to actually invite you all to take your own gratitude stone. They're all in different shapes, as hearts and moons and stars. Anyway, he said, oh, all right then. So he came and he got his gratitude stone. About 2 weeks later, he rang me up and he said, it's so-and-so, so-and-so, I won't say who. And he said, you probably won't remember me. And I thought, I do. Oh, yes. He said, well, I just want to say, I really enjoyed the presentation, but I absolutely wasn't convinced about the vitamin G. He said, and when I got home, my wife greeted me at the door and she said, look, I've got 2 bits of really bad news for you. First one, she borrowed his brand new car, and as she was reversing out of the gate, she'd scratched all the paintwork. He was really, really angry about it. And actually, she then said the second bit of bad news is our son's just been suspended from school. He's had a really, really bad report, 3 times in a run. And the guy was furious, absolutely furious. Anyway, he said he went upstairs and he was sorting all his stuff out and he got his gratitude stone. And he sat down on his bed and he held it in his hand and he looked at it and he thought, do you know what? He said, all right, my wife scratched the car, but she's not hurt. She hasn't had a car accident. All right. My son's been suspended from school, but he's not a drug addict. We've got friends who've got some serious problems with their teenage children. And he said it really, really resonated for him. He said, so I just want you to know, I think it's great. And what I do now with my little gratitude stone is I have him sitting on my desk and I call him Rocky. So I thought that was a really nice little story. And what I'd like to do is to offer you, when you leave, I know that you've all got flowers, but if you want to take yourselves a gratitude stone as well, and actually implement that into the fabric of your day. Either first thing in the morning, particularly if any of you suffer with kind of morning blues, if you get a little bit of anxiety or depression, it's a great starter. And another way, particularly those of you who've got children, it works brilliantly with children, because when they come back from school and, they're sort of moaning, it's quite good to actually have them with gratitude stones, where you can actually get them to say, what were the highlights of your day? So they all sit round and actually focus on what the highlights of their day are. And it's just a really nice, positive thing. But if you can get people to start thinking in a positive way, then what will happen, it's a kind of snowball effect. Once you start to think positively, once you start to think about opportunities, then it opens a whole possibility for you to see the world in a completely different way. So I really hope that you've enjoyed that presentation. It's given you a bit of food for thought. If anybody would like extra information, if you want to go to my website, there's lots of free downloadable tools. So there's toolkits on stress, on time management, how to be more happy, how to be more healthy. You're really welcome to go to those. Or if you want to send me an email, if you've got any questions, I can give you a bit of extra support, then that would be great. But thank you very much, everybody.